Welcome to the Book of Numbers, a journey through the wilderness filled with lessons of faith, rebellion, and God's enduring patience. Numbers is more than just a record of Israel's wanderings. It's the story of a people learning to trust God in the face of uncertainty. It speaks of the consequences of disobedience and God's unwavering faithfulness, even when his people falter. The story picks up after the Israelites have been freed from Egypt and have received the law at Mount Sinai. Now they're preparing to enter the promised land, but this journey is far from straightforward. Numbers is a book of transitions, both physical and spiritual. It traces the Israelites' movement from Sinai to the borders of Canaan while they learn what it means to be God's chosen people. The book is often divided into events surrounding two main generations. The first, the generation that left Egypt, and the second, the one that will eventually enter the promised land. A poignant contrast is drawn between the two, underlining the consequences of the first generation's faithlessness and the renewal and hope embodied by the next. The book begins with a census, which is why it is fittingly named Numbers. God commands Moses to count the people, organizing them into tribes, each with its own specific role and place within the camp. But this isn't just a bureaucratic tally. The census serves a deeper purpose. It's about identity and preparation. The Israelites are being transformed into a distinct nation, with the tabernacle at the center of the camp, symbolizing God's presence among his people. The journey starts in earnest as the Israelites depart from Sinai, but they soon face challenges that test their resolve. They begin to gripe about various hardships, running low on food, water, and questioning leadership. The surface complaints expose a deeper problem, a lack of trust in God's provision. Despite the miracles they have seen in Egypt and at Sinai, they struggle to believe that God will lead them safely to their destination. A critical turning point arrives when the Israelites reach the edge of the Promised Land. Moses sends 12 spies to scout the land. They return with good reports of its bounty, yet 10 of them claim the inhabitants are too powerful to defeat. Fear spreads, and the people refuse to enter. In response, God decrees that this generation will not set foot in the Promised Land. Instead, they will wander in the wilderness for 40 years while a new generation emerges. The central section of Numbers recounts these years of wandering. It's a time of both testing and refining. The older generation continues its pattern of rebellion, and as a result, many perish in the wilderness. But amid judgment, there is grace. God sustains the people with manna from heaven, brings water from rocks, and shields them from enemies. The wilderness becomes not just a place of punishment, but a space for God's provision and patience. One of the most notable events during this period is the rebellion led by Korah. He challenges Moses' authority, and God's swift judgment decisively reinforces Moses' divinely ordained leadership. This episode serves as a stark reminder that rebelling against God's chosen leaders is tantamount to rebelling against God himself. As the 40 years draw to a close, a new generation comes to the forefront. This emerging group never experienced Egypt firsthand, but grew up in the wilderness, dependent on God for survival. The closing chapters of Numbers outline their preparation to enter Canaan. Another census is carried out, signaling a new beginning. Instructions are given on how they should live in the land, and the people are reminded of God's covenant promises. The book finishes with the Israelites camped on the plains of Moab, standing on the threshold of the promised land. While their physical journey is not quite complete, the overarching lessons of Numbers have been laid bare: the importance of faith, the cost of disobedience, and the ever-present possibility of renewal. But Numbers isn't simply a historical narrative. Beyond the events, it's a book about the journey of faith. The wilderness represents the challenges and uncertainties of life, and the Israelites' struggles can be seen as a reflection of our own. Will we trust God even when the path ahead looks daunting? Will we hold on to His promises when circumstances seem impossible? Above all, Numbers is a testament to God's faithfulness. Despite the persistent rebelliousness of His people, God never abandons them. He continues to lead, provide, and show mercy. Yes, disobedience carries consequences, but the book also speaks of grace, a grace fully embodied in the new generation at its end, ready to step into the land God had promised. When we read Numbers, we're not merely following a chronicle of ancient wanderings. We are engaging with a broader story of faith, struggle, and hope. A story that has deep relevance to our own spiritual journeys. The wilderness may be a place of difficulty, but God is always there with us, guiding us toward His promises. Thanks for watching. This is the Bible, book by book.